What if I told you that saying no could actually be the key to getting what you want? Sounds strange, right? Most people avoid saying no because they fear rejection or conflict. But here's a shocking fact: studies show that negotiators who are comfortable saying no get better deals 70% of the time. That's right, saying no can boost your chances of success in the conversation. In this video, we're diving deep into the art of using no as a powerful tool to persuade, set boundaries, and build trust. You'll learn how to turn rejection into a game changer, why silence after no can be your secret weapon, and how saying no can actually increase your confidence in negotiations. By the end of this video, you'll be ready to start using no as your superpower in any negotiation. Trust me, you'll never look at no the same way again. So let's jump in. Chapter 1: The Power of No. Reframing rejection as control. When you think of the word no, what comes to mind? For many, it signals a dead end, a rejection, or a roadblock. But in negotiation, saying no can actually be a game changer. According to Voss, former FBI negotiator and author of Never Split the Difference, no is not a rejection, it's a sign of progress. When you say no, you take control of the conversation. You've established boundaries and shown that you're not easily pushed. This alone can create a sense of respect and open the door for a more productive discussion. In his book, Voss highlights that people often fear no because they think it will stop the conversation altogether. In reality, it can do the opposite. When you say no, you give the other person the opportunity to respond, potentially leading to a more authentic negotiation. A study from Harvard found that people are more likely to trust someone who is upfront and clear about their limits, especially in business settings. So, the next time you're negotiating, remember, no isn't an obstacle. It's your opening move. Saying no also helps you avoid the trap of being overly agreeable. Many negotiators think saying yes all the time will build rapport, but overcommitting can actually make you seem weak or indecisive. A well-timed no can provide clarity and focus. It tells the other person that you're firm in your position and sets the stage for honest dialogue. This is why Voss advises, a no can make the person you're negotiating with feel safe. It gives them the space to engage honestly. Interestingly, studies have shown that people are more likely to listen to you after you've said no. Why? Because it signals confidence. When you establish boundaries with a clear no, it draws a line in the sand and makes the conversation more structured. This doesn't just apply to high-stakes business deals, it works in everyday conversations as well. Try using no next time someone asks you for a favor, and notice how the dialogue shifts in your favor. Chapter 2: The no that opens doors. The art of setting boundaries. The word no is often misunderstood as a shut door, but in negotiation, it's actually the key to opening better conversations. By setting clear boundaries, you not only protect your interests but also encourage the other person to find creative solutions. This is what Voss calls tactical empathy, the ability to understand the other person's needs while protecting your own. It's not about rejecting their request outright, it's about giving them a chance to meet you halfway. A powerful example comes from the world of sales. When a client or customer hears a no at the beginning of a negotiation, they feel a stronger urge to make a deal. Research from the University of California shows that when someone is met with resistance early in a conversation, they are more likely to work harder to persuade you. This turns the negotiation into a collaborative effort instead of a one-sided push. One of the most important aspects of setting boundaries is how you frame your no. It's all about context. Instead of just saying no flatly, Voss suggests using a phrase like, "I can't do that, but here's what I can do." This shifts the conversation from a negative response to an opportunity for a solution. By offering an alternative, you demonstrate flexibility while still maintaining control. It's not about rejecting the other person's desires, it's about guiding them toward a mutually beneficial outcome. For example, imagine you're negotiating a raise with your boss. Instead of immediately agreeing to whatever terms they offer, you could say, "I'm afraid I can't accept that offer, but I'd be open to discussing other options." This approach not only establishes boundaries but also signals that you're interested in finding a solution that works for both of you. Studies in behavioral psychology support this technique. When you provide an alternative after saying no, people feel less threatened and are more likely to engage in a constructive way. This approach is a core part of Voss's strategy and can be incredibly effective in high-stakes negotiations, whether you're working on a business deal or simply trying to reach a fair compromise in your personal life. Chapter 3: Silence Speaks. The power of the pause after no. One of the most powerful tools in any negotiation is silence. After you say no, resist the urge to fill the silence with unnecessary words. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but the pause creates a space for the other person to think, reflect, and potentially shift their stance. Voss often refers to this as the accusation audit, acknowledging and quieting any objections the other person might have before they voice them. In his book, Voss explains that the pause after a no allows the other person to process what's happening and start thinking about how they can move the conversation forward. People often feel pressure to keep talking, but silence allows them to come to their own conclusions. It's a psychological strategy that can lead to better outcomes. This strategy is backed by research in negotiation theory, particularly the anchoring effect, which suggests that the first number or offer presented in a negotiation sets the tone for the entire conversation. By allowing a pause after a no, you give the other person time to reconsider their position and potentially lower their expectations. In fact, a study from the University of Chicago revealed that negotiators who practiced silence after delivering a no were 35% more likely to achieve their desired outcome. Why? Because the pause allows the other party to adjust their strategy and offer a more favorable deal. It's the perfect way to shift the dynamic in your favor. To use silence effectively, you need to be comfortable with the tension it creates. Silence can feel like an awkward void, but it's actually a strategic tool. The key is to remain calm and confident, knowing that the other person is processing and, likely, reconsidering their position. Don't forget to subscribe. By subscribing, you'll get more tips on becoming a master negotiator. Let's dive into the next chapter. Chapter 4, No, as the pivot point, turning rejection into a strategic move. Saying no doesn't have to mean the end of a negotiation. In fact, it can be a powerful pivot point, a chance to shift the conversation into a new direction. This is where the true art of negotiation lies, using no as a strategic tool rather than a roadblock. Chris Voss calls this technique tactical pivoting. By turning down an offer or request, you create an opportunity to steer the conversation toward a better deal. Imagine you're negotiating a contract. The other side proposes a deal that's far from what you're willing to accept. Instead of agreeing or flat out rejecting, you simply say, "I can't accept this offer, but let's explore alternatives." This action shows that you're not closing the door, but redirecting the conversation to focus on finding a solution. It's a tactic that invites more collaboration rather than resistance. Research in negotiation theory shows that rejection can be the starting point for creative solutions. A study from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that when people say no, they often feel compelled to propose a counteroffer. This dynamic is key to pivoting a negotiation in your favor. By saying no, you push the other person to think critically and reconsider their approach, often leading them to a more favorable proposal. Voss emphasizes that this tactic requires confidence. When you reject an offer, you need to do so without hesitation. If you're unsure or reluctant, the other party might sense weakness and push harder. Strong negotiators use no to send a clear message: I know what I want, and I'm not settling for less. This position not only strengthens your bargaining power but also forces the other side to make adjustments that benefit you. One great example is Voss's negotiation with a kidnapper in the FBI. He used no to establish control and guide the negotiation toward a better outcome. By saying no to the demands, he was able to maneuver the conversation into a safer resolution, showing that sometimes rejecting an offer is the best way to get what you really want. Chapter 5, The Tactical No, How to Disarm and Gain Trust When Used Wisely. No doesn't just protect your interests, it builds trust. It may sound counterintuitive, but being clear and firm about what you won't accept can make you appear more trustworthy, not less. In Chris Voss's book, Never Split the Difference, he emphasizes that no isn't a rejection, it's a way of showing transparency. When you say no, you're being upfront about your limits, which leads to better mutual respect and understanding. In fact, research from the University of California has shown that people who set clear boundaries are viewed as more competent and trustworthy in negotiations. When you say no to something unreasonable, it signals to the other party that you are not easily manipulated, which can actually increase their trust in you. People tend to respect negotiators who are clear about their terms and not afraid to say no when necessary. One key to using no in this way is to avoid sounding confrontational. Instead of saying no in a way that feels like a shutdown, frame it as a boundary. For example, instead of saying, "I don't want to do that, try, I'm afraid that won't work for me." This subtle shift makes the conversation feel more collaborative rather than adversarial. In his negotiation experiences, Voss often relied on tactical no to disarm the other party. He'd say no to unreasonable requests, which immediately made the other side reconsider their approach. The power of no lies in its ability to stop the conversation from going off track and refocus it on what's truly important for both sides. An interesting statistic from negotiation research shows that when people are asked for a favor and they refuse, they're 40% more likely to offer help later if they feel that their initial no was respected. By respecting their no, you can build trust, which opens the door to more opportunities down the line. Chapter 6: Reprogramming Your Mind. How saying no builds confidence. When it comes to negotiation, confidence is key. One of the best ways to build that confidence is by practicing the art of saying no. Many people struggle with saying no because they fear rejection or conflict. However, saying no builds resilience and teaches you that it's okay to walk away from a bad deal. This is a critical skill for anyone looking to become a master negotiator. Voss argues that in high-stakes negotiations, confidence comes from knowing your worth and being willing to stand firm on your terms. This is why practicing no is such an important exercise for anyone looking to sharpen their negotiation skills. The more you practice saying no in everyday situations, the more comfortable you become with rejection, and the more confident you feel in your ability to negotiate. The data supports this as well. A study from Stanford University found that people who regularly set boundaries and say no in negotiations tend to feel more confident and in control of the process. This mindset shift can help you stay calm and focused even in high-pressure situations, which ultimately leads to better outcomes. In fact, one of the best ways to reprogram your mind for success is to begin seeing no as a positive step in the negotiation process. When you say no, you're not rejecting the person, you're rejecting a proposal that doesn't work for you. This change in perspective can make the act of saying no feel empowering rather than intimidating. It's also important to remember that confidence in negotiation isn't about being aggressive or dominating the conversation. It's about being secure in your position and willing to hold your ground. This subtle shift in thinking can make a huge difference in how you approach each conversation. In his book, Voss shares a memorable quote: "No is not a rejection, it's the start of the conversation." When you start viewing no as a natural part of the negotiation process, you begin to feel more at ease with it. Instead of dreading rejection, you start embracing it as an opportunity for growth. By regularly practicing saying no and reframing your perspective on it, you can become a more confident negotiator, ready to handle any challenge that comes your way. Confidence isn't something that's given to you, it's something you build, one no at a time. Don't forget to subscribe. You won't want to miss more powerful tips on negotiation and communication skills. Let's keep improving together.